Hi, my name is Amanjit Kaur. Me and my group mates are going to present on the topic of inflation and unemployment. Firstly, I would like to introduce to all of my group mates Jitinder Kaur, Mandeep Kaur, Hardeep Kaur, and Lakshay Badwas are my group mate. Now we are going to present. Firstly, I'm going to represent on the topic of inflation. Inflation is the rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services is rising, leading to a decrease in the purchasing power of money. It reflects the percentage increase in the cost of basket of goods and services over a specific period, typically measured annually. Now, I'm going to talk about related key points. There are five types. First one is measurement. Official statistics such as the inflation rate may be obtained using the consumer price index or the producer price index. Second is types of inflation. Some of these are the demand pull inflation, cost pull inflation, and the built in inflation. Third is impacts. There is nothing wrong with moderate inflation as it is expected with growth. However, hyperinflation tends to destabilize the economy. Therefore, deflation or a general lowering of prices is also undesirable and should be avoided. Fourth is monetary policy. Many central banks, such as the Federal Reserve of United States, applies the monetary policy instruments to regulate inflation, including the interest rates and reserve ratio. Fifth is inflation rate. The inflation rate which most of the central banks aspire to achieve is approximately 2%, which is believed to be ideal to foster economic stability and growth. Next is types of inflation. There are generally three types of inflation. First one is demand pull inflation, second one is cost push inflation, third one is built in inflation. Firstly, I would like to elaborate to demand pull inflation. Happens when the demand of goods and service in the economy surpasses the supply, sometimes follows a sound consumer spending investment or an expansionary fiscal budget. For example, this is identified as the prosperity period in consumer cycle theory whereby consumers have excess money to spend. Second one is cost push inflation. This occurs when numerous factors affecting production drive up the costs and producers are forced to put up the prices to cover the new costs, maybe because of increase in wages, increase in the price of raw material, or disruption of the supply chain. For example, an increase in the interest rates that will make it difficult for exporters to get credit facilities, as well as making transportation and production costs, especially in the oil industry, to skyrocket. Third one is bullet in inflation or wage price spiral. Emerges when companies raise the wages they pay their workers to cater for the raised inflation levels, thus passing the cost to consumers through higher price of for products and services. This lead to cycles through which wages and price keep on raising the other. For example, employees request better pay because their costs of living has gone up, and employees entities raise their prices and pass the costs to a consumer.
Hello everyone, I'm Mandeep. My topic is formula of measuring inflation. The formula of measuring inflation is inflation rate equals to CPI in previous year minus CPI in current year that is divided by a CPI in previous year multiply 100. CPI means consumer price index. The consumer price index of CPI calculates the typical price fluctuations over a certain period of time for a particular basket of goods. the second one is how inflation affect consumers. There are 3 points. The first one is a decreased purchasing power. As price rises, consumers find they can spend the same amount of money on a fewer products and services, which lower their standard of life. And the second one is increased cost of living. As basic costs like housing, food, and transportation rise, people are forced to review their spending plans. And the last one is planning and uncertainty. High inflation makes it more difficult for customers to make long term financial plans, making savings and investment decisions more difficult. My last topic is pros and cons of inflation. Pros, the first one is that debt relief. Moderate inflation can help borrowers as the real value of their debt declines over time, making loan repayment easier. The second one is a wage increases. Although real wages may not rise much, nominal wage increases brought about why inflation might help people hold on to their purchasing power. Disadvantages. The first one is a decline in saving value. When savings lose purchasing power due to inflation, people are discouraged from saving and find it more difficult to accumulate wealth over time. The next one is the impact on income inequality. Low income households are more vulnerable to inflation because they spend a greater percentage of their income on necessities, which frequently see faster price increases than luxuries.
Hi everyone, now we are discussing unemployment. Unemployment refers to a situation in which a person who is capable of working and willing to work actively searches for employment but cannot find work. Hi everyone, now we are discussing unemployment. Unemployment refers to a situation in which a person who is capable of working production. In this slide, we are discussing unemployment in Canada, and the graph shows that in 2019 and 20, between this period, unemployment rate is too high. And now, if we are telling about current rate, 6.4% is recorded in June 2024. Now we are discussing categories of unemployment. There are two main categories of unemployment. First is voluntary and the second is involuntary unemployment. Involuntary unemployment. It means when a person left their job willingly in search for other employment. It is called voluntary unemployment. There are some factors which influenced voluntary unemployment. First of all, personal preference. Some individuals may prefer not to work due to personal reasons like education, travel, and for family timing. And the second is job search. Individual may be voluntarily unemployed while seeking better job opportunities that match their skills, career goals, and the desired working conditions. The last one is wages expectations. Some worker may choose to remain unemployed if they believe that the available jobs do not offer satisfactory wages or benefits. The second is involuntary unemployment. When a person was fired or now looked for another job, it is called involuntary unemployment. Some key causes of involuntary unemployment includes economic recession. During economic downturns, business may reduce their workforce due to decreased demand for goods and services, and it also increase involuntary unemployment. Second is structural changes. Changes in the economy such as technological advancement or shift in consumer preference also cause workers to become unemployed. The third is minimum wage loss. Minimum wage loss. If minimum wages laws are set above the equilibrium level, business may reduce hiring only of workers leading to involuntary.
Hello, good evening everyone. I am going to present my presentation. Types of unemployment. Four types of unemployment are typically distinguished as follows. Frictional unemployment. Those who are classified as frictionally unemployed are either job hoppers or recent graduates seeking employment. Generally speaking, this type of unemployment is transitory. Second, structural unemployment. The term structurally unemployed refers to those who have lost their occupations due to technological advancement and other structural changes in production, such as business relocating abroad. The popularity and affordability of the vehicles in the early 19th resulted in losses of job horse and buggy drivers. Due to international competition and American corporations relocating overseas, many American workers in the steel, car, electronics, and textile industries lost their employment and become structurally unemployed. This type of unemployment is typically permanent in nature, especially when it results from a technological advancement. Cyclical unemployment. People who are cyclically unemployed are laid off as a result of a drop in the market for their goods. They are also actively seeking employment. The market for durable goods like homes, vehicles, and other items decline during recession. Employees in these sectors like mm, lose their jobs until future increase in demand. Most other this type of unemployment is a transient in nature. Next, seasonal unemployment. Those who are seasonally unemployed are out of work and actively seeking employment in off season. Examples are winter season ice cream vendors, sometimes summertime stockholders who are only considered unemployment if they are actively seeking employment, and sometimes sky lift operators also. Thank you.
So, as in last slide, one of my colleagues discussed about the type of employment. So now I would like to discuss about the measuring unemployment, how we can measure the unemployment, such as we can conduct a survey, or as well as we can define the labor force, also classify employment status, also calculating the unemployment rate, how we can calculate the unemployment rate. So if I talk about the conducting a survey, so there are like different categories, like there is a purpose, frequency, and sample size as well. For purpose, we can collect employment status data so that we can understand what is the labor market current now. Also, frequency, we can conduct a monthly survey so that we can update ourselves and update our data as well. Same as sample size, we can collect few samples such as 60,000 household in US so that it would be easy for us. Now, if we discuss about the labor force definition, so there is a purpose such as like identify the pool of individual available for work so that we can know how many people are available for individual are available for work. Also components includes those aged who are above 16 plus age and who are employed and who are currently seeking for work, so that it's easy for us to define the labor force, as well as we can exclude, like such as there are many people such as that they are above the retirement age. There are some are from the student background and some are as from the homemaker. So that would be like we can define different categories of labor force, right? Also we can classify employment status such as who are employed, unemployed, and not in labor force. For employed, who worked for a pay or profit, including part-time or temporary absent workers, right? So there are lots of people who can work part-time also for the temporary job on working on a temporary jobs. If I talk about the unemployed, in this category there are no job but actively seeking, people who don't have any job but they are keep seeking for the job, right, so that they can start the work. Also there are some people who are not in a labor force, neither they are employees as well as nor actively seeking for employment. By these three categories we can classify employment status as well, right? Now if we discuss about how to calculate the employment rate, so this is the main parameter by which we can classify, we can calculate like how unemployment rate is affecting or how we can calculate the unemployment rate, such as unemployment rate is equal to number of unemployed people into x divided by labor force, so that we can get to know about the unemployment rate. Also there are different if I talk about the how unemployment rate are causes, the main cause, what are the main causes that affect the unemployment rate. There is a recession and depression. These like if I talk about in these economic downtown, this can lead to business cutting back on production and laying off worker. Most of the worker they are laying off, so that we can classify this in the recession category, right? Next, technological improvement. As technology is advanced right now, so some jobs become obsolete and new one are created. Like this can lead to mismatch between skill of the workforce and demand of the job. Third, minimum wages law. Some economists argue that minimum wages law can price some worker out of the job market, particularly young people and unskilled worker. By these minimum wages law can be helpful. Fourth, change in consumer demand as consumer prefer change. Some business may decline and lay off worker while new business emerge in other sector as well. Government policies, there are different government policies such as tax law, regulation. These are the policies that can affect the cost of doing business and overall health of the economy, which can in